Where to Hunt podcast. It's okay. It's okay.
Hi, I'm Dan Small, host of Outdoor Wisconsin, and I listen to Where to Hunt.
Nah, it's okay.
I'm Kurt Geyer with Working Class Bow Hunter. I listen to Where to Hunt podcast, and it's decent.
It's all right.
Hey, this is Bud Fisher with Catching Deers, and I think the Where to Hunt podcast is all right.
Hey there, everybody. I don't know why I just did that. I'm super tired. Welcome to the Where to Hunt podcast, the podcast that connects public land hunting enthusiasts, aka the okayest podcast in the Midwest, coming to you from the Okayest Hunter podcast studio. Be sure to head over to okayesthunter.com and enter in code W2H podcast for 10% off of some okayest shirts and hats. And 1% of their revenue and 1% of their time goes to 2% of conservation. So every purchase goes back to conservation. And I'll personally be volunteering some time for that organization, which I'm really excited about. We're going to be removing some buckthorn off some public property here in Wisconsin.
Sweet.
Yeah, that'll probably suck pretty bad.
I won't be so bad.
That's what you say. That's what you say. Well, Greg, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm just adjusting to a new week of routine. So if I'm off tonight, pick up my slack.
Okay.
Hopefully this drink will help.
Maybe.
The Ashwaubenon, whatever the hell that scotch is called. I just polished that one off. It's pretty tasty.
Good boy.
We were out last Friday.
Yeah.
Checked some cams. We planted a new
Dropped
one.
a cam, moved some cams. Yeah. Let them soak for a couple weeks here and see who shows up. And kind of went past a couple places and looked and said, maybe we should go check those out. So it'll be probably on my list of things to do over the weekend. Coming shortly here. Seeing so you can't get out on a lake anywhere without getting harassed by too many people. So many people hitting the lakes right now.
Saving a turtle.
Yeah, like saving a turtle or something.
That's right. We didn't save the turtle. We actually just removed it from its egg-laying bed.
So it wouldn't cross the road and get schmucked.
Yeah. Whatever.
That's fine.
Potato. We don't know what could have happened. We tried to do something nice. But let's do our sponsorship call-outs. I'm not sure which ones. I always forget. I have them labeled. Here we go. We'll do... Let's do this one.
Just do that one.
Wake up and smell the coffee. Backwoods grind coffee, that is. Now, this ain't your fancy schmancy city boy coffee. This is what your grandpappy used to drink. And lucky enough for you loaf-around slack asses, they got a subscription service. Deliver any of their 6 blends right to your door, even a sampler. I like the Fireside blend, nice and dark. But they got something to suit every one of your tastes, light to dark and everything in between. Backwoods grind coffee, for those who work hard and play harder.
Yeehaw.
Take a look at your feet. Are you wearing Gumleaf USA boots? If you said no, you gotta reevaluate some things. Each pair is handmade and tested to take over 1 million flexes. These boots will take just about anything you can throw at them. Use promo code W2H2020 for 10% off your final purchase at gumleafusa.com.
All right, so
You hired Big Tex to do 2 ads. Nice job.
yeah, it turned out nice.
I'm supposed to follow that up.
Well, but the one thing I'm missing still is the promo code for Backwoods Grind. So we got to get that added in there, which we're working on. But the code is W2H podcast. And like the ad said, you're going to get 10% off. So you can do Vector. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
We gotta like make something fun. So like instead people get the real authentic Greg talking about the real authentic brand.
Screw ups and everything.
That's the best part.
So we'll kick it off by saying, if you're looking for a built to your spec arrow, heavy carbon arrow, rocking the Ethics insert system, built to your specification. You like a heavier arrow or a lighter arrow, depending on your application. Head over to vectorcustomshop.com and check them out. You can go with a test pack of 2 arrows built however you want them. You can get them in and shoot them and try them out. Or if you figure that one out and you figure out what you want, you can go ahead and order a half dozen or a dozen of whatever flew best for you in whatever weight. And when you go to checkout, use the code WHERE2HUNT. Where to Hunt will give you 10% off. Vector Custom Shop.
Look at that. I mean, if I would have done it, it probably would have sounded like this.
Wasn't real smooth.
Vector Custom Shop, where arrows fly magically.
And now I'm gonna have to kick your ass.
All right, we're done.
You didn't just do that.
We're done messing around. We got a guest on the line with us. Slade Johnston with Trips4Trade. Thanks for putting up with our crazy silliness, and welcome to the show, man.
Your crazy silliness.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, we're excited to talk to you. We had some time lined up before, but I goofed and double booked like the idiot that I am. Murphy's Law like hangs out with me a lot these days. So you're here now, and we're happy to talk to you. Why don't you take a minute, tell the audience who you are, where you're from, what do you like to hunt, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so glad we were able to connect this afternoon, and excited to chat with you guys for a little bit. But yeah, Slade Johnston, I'm the founder of Trips4Trade, and essentially it's a platform for swapping trips. You can swap hunting trips, fishing trips, vacation, skiing, sports tickets, really anything that you've got access to. You can swap it for a different trip you want to go on. And we're headquartered in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I grew up in West Alabama. I'm an avid outdoorsman, and I'd say my favorite time is springtime, so I can be turkey hunting, but also an avid bow hunter, and excited to get in a tree this fall.
Rock on. So Alabama, what's the geographically challenged over here? What's the temperature there when you're starting to hunt in spring or in fall for deer? What are your seasons like?
Yeah, so starting out, early bow season in October, it is hot, really hot. We're looking probably, 80-degree weather going into some days can still be low 90s. So you almost want to be in a short sleeve t-shirt for those hunts. But then you got some cold fronts that come in and kind of mix it up a little bit. And then in the spring, it really varies. Our weather's changing so much. It looks like, I think this past spring, it stayed cold a little bit longer and didn't really get hot till towards the end of turkey season. But you never really can tell. Alabama weather is, it can mix it up on you.
Yeah, we got that up here, but I don't know. Usually it's like extreme colds is more of our concern half the time. Although, at least there's no mosquitoes when it's cold out. That's a big plus.
Yeah, we don't get too cold, thankfully. We call anything from 40 to 50 degrees is pretty cold here. It's a little bit different from you guys up there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You're not kidding. We got a friend down in Arkansas, and he's got some funny ways of saying how hot it is down there. But yeah, he's t-shirt hunting, and it's not pretty. The sweat pouring out of that man. Well, walk us.
It can be rough sometimes.
Yeah, well, just watch the Instagram page and watch how bad I suffer come early September trying to do what I do. But walk us through kind of where did this all start, man? Like, how did you come up with this concept, and how did you like put it together? That's not easy. I mean, we're trying to do something similar with the Where to Hunt app, and it's not easy to find someone to build something for you, validate an idea, get it out to market, promote it, manage it, maintain it, etc. Well, idea to launch to where you're at now. Tell us some of the story.
Yeah, so it's been a path. There's been nothing easy about it, but thankfully we've had a lot of support and a lot of help along the way. But early on, I guess where the story originates is growing up in West Alabama and being an avid outdoorsman. I was in the woods every chance I could get. Very fortunate I grew up on a family farm where both my grandfathers and my dad were just had me in the woods any chance that they could take me. And especially one grandfather, he was checking me out of school on weekdays because I had buck fever, and any chance on the weekend he was taking me hunting or fishing. And he was really well known in West Alabama for being kind of one of the best turkey hunters in this area. He was really good turkey hunter, and so I kind of picked up the passion for that from him. And when I was in middle school, he had one bird left in his Grand Slam, and for the non-turkey hunters, that's harvesting each of the 4 subspecies of turkeys in the U.S. And he had that one bird left, and I desperately wanted to go on that trip with him. And he told me no, that once I got to college, we'd start mine. And what he was really saying was it was a boys' trip, and he wasn't taking me along because he didn't want me to go back and tell my grandmother what all they were doing, I'm sure. But anyway.
Did you ever tell her?
They went on, and he finished his Grand Slam. And, I kind of always looked forward to starting mine with him. Well, he got sick when I got into high school, and then my freshman year of college, he passed away. And that was really the toughest thing I'd ever been through. It was the first family member I'd lost. And on top of that, it was, it was my best friend and my hunting buddy. And so kind of going through that, my dad was just kind of talking to me the next couple seasons and was like, why don't you and I start your Grand Slam kind of in memory of him? So I was like, that'd be awesome. And he's like, well, look at some outfitters and try to plan it. And so started looking at different outfitters, and I'm like, this is going to be a big expense. We're looking at $5,000 to $10,000. Even more if he's wanting to shoot as well. And it's like, I just really don't want to ask my dad to do that right now. It doesn't make sense for us to spend that kind of money right now. And so I was like, but why not swap a trip? My grandfather's been doing it with friends of friends for years. We're always, we're big on the sharing outdoors, especially with first timers, and taking them to our farm and introducing them to it. I was like, we already have a camp they could stay at, and we're already familiar with hosting people. We don't run an outfitter or anything, but we could swap a turkey hunt for a different subspecies. And so I got on a social app and found a guy in Colorado that was posting some pictures of Miriam's, and I reached out to him, and I was like, we got really good eastern turkey hunting in Alabama. Would you be interested in swapping for to take me Miriam hunting? And he said, we're covered up in Miriam's. You and your dad are welcome to come. But I hear you guys have hogs in Alabama. Would it be any chance that I could bring my son and we come hog hunting? And to us in Alabama, hogs are a nuisance. So we were more than happy to make that exchange. Well, him and his son, they came down to Alabama and both killed their first hogs and just had an incredible experience. We ended up deer hunting and duck hunting too. And then my dad and I flew out to Colorado to start my Grand Slam, and found a really awesome elk shed on that trip. And we've actually went back, I think 4 times now, maybe 5 times since then. Just built an incredible relationship with this guy. Went back spot and stalk mule deer hunting. Going to go back elk hunting in the future. And then him and his son or his daughters came before too, and they come to our farm just to do some hog hunting and deer hunting. So just built an awesome relationship there. And that was kind of what spurred, the idea for Trips4Trade. At the time, I was also going through business school at the University of Alabama, and was kind of thinking, knew I always had some ideas that I wanted to start a business, but didn't know what it was. And so with those classes and all, I really just kind of did the due diligence to see what was out there. Saw there were some forums, but there really wasn't any credibility to the forums. Saw there was a huge vacation exchange industry. But where I really saw the gap was there wasn't anybody combining the 4 categories that we do, and those are outdoors, adventure, vacation, and sports. And there really wasn't anybody credible in the hunting and fishing space. And so that was where we figured we could start in hunting and fishing and quickly be kind of the best in that space, and then also let people have more access to hunting and fishing by leveraging their lake houses, their beach condos, season sports tickets, and stuff like that, ski passes, and really anything else they had access to. So that kind of is what differentiated us. And you asked about the journey to get it to market. We started with really just friends of mine around the country, probably 20 or so, I would say. And I was connecting those guys and making sure that they were having a good experience. And that was with a very early stage website that wasn't scalable. And then we upgraded to the site we have now to where, it does have a lot more scale to it. but this is still kind of just our V2 of not where we want to be. So we're about to launch a new platform that's going to have a lot of new features, a lot more credibility checks than we have now. We're going to launch a perks program we're really excited about with a lot of our industry partners. And just to kind of get where we are, it's taken a lot of just connecting with people that are avid in the outdoor space on social media. We talked about Brad at Go Wild earlier. That's somebody that's been an influential relationship for us. Real connected with the guys that you do as well. So just trying to connect with outdoor communities everywhere we can, and trying to partner with prominent brands that can help us get the name out there.
Yeah, you've done a great job. It's not easy to build this kind of stuff, and maybe it's easier today than maybe it was 5+ years ago. I mean, the technology that you have at your fingertips is, like you said, it's a little bit more scalable, more accessible. The skill set around it is kind of more mainstream now, where people are coming out of high school and they've learned this stuff. You know, people take PHP in like 8th grade now, apparently, and Python and Java and all this other stuff. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. So that's cool to kind of hear some of the journey, and the fact that it came from an experience and one that was so meaningful to you too. That's quite the driver, and the serendipity of that being right along the time you're in business school for you to be able to kind of put those chops to use is pretty cool.
It was definitely some great time in there, and like I said, we had a lot of support from mentors and different professors even in college, and got to use this for I ended up staying and getting my MBA at Alabama, and was able to use the business towards class credit for the graduate degree. So all that was just stepping stones, and the university had a few business plan competitions. We've won several competitions with our business plan, and that provided just grant funding, and then we raised some capital from a lot of local angel investors, and that's kind of got us where we are now. Right now we've got trips, and this past week we got trips in all 50 states, and I think we're in 11 countries right now.
I think that's so impressive. So like, I tagged some fellow podcasters, the Pulling Feathers guys, and they're down south somewhere. Wyoming, my bad. But they just did like a giveaway for like bird hunting, goose hunting, I think.
Yeah, I want to hunt with them.
And they hunt all the time. That's like
waterfowl.
That's all they do. Like, it's their freaking life, And so they're like, well, and we figure if we give a hunt away, then people just come hunt with us. All they got to do is pay for their plane ticket, and we got room, board. We got, hundreds of decoys and all the gear. We're basically a bunch of outfitters. It's our life. And so I tagged them thinking, you look like you were looking for someone that's looking to do some waterfowl hunting. And what better place to send them to, right? There's another serendipitous connection. But the concept of, what if you don't have something to offer? Like, I don't have anything to offer. I got a messy house with 2 kids and no time on my hands. And is there any way to take advantage of, your program if you don't have something to trade?
Yeah, that's actually a question we get often. And there's 2 answers to that. One, a lot of times people kind of overlook what they could offer. I know with you guys, especially in your audience, a lot of public land hunters, you might not actually own property, but you might have a lot of experience on public land. This past spring, I swapped with a guy or finished the second half of a swap with a guy in Missouri. He came last year and turkey hunted with me and killed his first Alabama bird. And then this spring we went up there and hunted the Mark Twain National Forest. And he just gave us, he's been hunting it for 10, 15 years and had a lot of pins that he shared with us and kind of guided us. And anyways, that was, though he didn't have private land, he had knowledge of public land that was still valuable to us. Being a turkey hunter and kind of knowing the ropes, just having somebody point me in the right direction was really all we needed for me to tag out there. So, a lot of times people don't realize what they do have access to that is valuable. A lot of times we overlook what we're so common to. But even if it's something in a different category, such as a family vacation home or sports tickets or ski passes, something as little as that can still be valuable to somebody else because, obviously it's something that you enjoy and it's valuable to you. And then on the second part of that question, if you truly don't have any of those things that we mentioned or anything that kind of fit in our categories of an experience, we're the new program that I mentioned earlier, our Perks program. This is where we're like I said, we're partnering with. It's going to shake out to about 50 well-known brands, Realtree, HHA, Onyx, and a bunch of other, to just give discount codes to our members. So even signing up to be a member, you'll get access to those codes. And then we're working with all of our members that sell trips so that they will offer a special discount to our members only. So say it's an outfitter, if you were to go straight direct to them, you could save 10% of that by being a member with us and going through our platform. So just something we can still offer people that are looking to buy trips if they don't have anything to trade.
Well, that's smart and it makes sense. But I like the idea or the concept of before you get there, just take a second to get creative about what's in your wheelhouse and think about it based on what you might want. So like, where do you recommend people get started? I'll answer the question from my perspective. I'll let you actually answer it. But my thought is just go there and browse and see if anything trips your trigger. And if it does, and it's something that you think you desire enough to want to figure out, then work backwards from that. So, Greg, if we find there's a hunt in Wyoming that we could get outfitted for, and all it takes is to trade some Packers tickets or something, well, that's interesting, right?
One, we got to be Packers fans, and two, we got to have a Packers season, and three, I don't know where
I'm just being hypothetical.
Wherever you're pulling these Packer tickets from, I'd like to find out.
If that's whatever they're willing to trade, maybe I'll just go get that thing, and it might outweigh what I would have paid to go do that thing anyways.
It is funny that the values, another question we often get is the value question. And so often these trips aren't aligning in value because that is something that's so subjective. And, you sometimes value something less than somebody that's never done it before would. So often it could be hundreds to thousands of dollars of difference in these trips, but they're more worried about the experience versus the price tag that would go on that. But one thing you did mention is the kind of about the next steps. And I would say two ways. Yes, definitely browse the website, look at the trips there. We've got filters so you can narrow it down by the states you're looking for, and just see if anything interests you. And obviously if it's something that you've got what they're looking for, then you definitely need to go ahead and get signed up, and we'll connect you with them right away. But still on the other end, a lot of our guys are doing the same thing. So if you've got something to offer, even though you might not see a trip initially that is, the trip you want to take this year, we're adding trips every day. And they're doing the same thing. They're going there looking what's available. And so by signing up and having your listing on the site, it's basically serving as an ad for you. So anybody that comes to the site, they have what you are interested in, they can reach out to you. So, it's working for you even when you're not checking out the site that way, and it's not up to you to just scroll through the hundreds of trips we have and try to find that right match. Well,
that makes sense. That's the other end of the spectrum, I suppose. Someone in the comments made kind of a joke, I think, but it's a question that I think could be a real question. They said, I trade, but it takes like 4 years for a non-resident to draw an Iowa tag. And I'm assuming they're talking about whitetail hunting, but how does that work with, like, if I don't have a license for that animal? I'm assuming I have to buy that, or what about
you're gonna have to buy a license, but it's gonna have to be in a general unit.
Sure, maybe that's what it is.
Out west, anyway. Everything's got its little.
Yeah. So.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, we see the neat thing about this, and is you're trading with the local, and the person you're talking to, the host of that trip, has knowledge of their unit. They know what it takes for you to get that tag, and they're going to be able. I know a lot of people have this kind of anxiety when they look to go out of state because they're like, oh, the license rules and tags and draw and all that's just so different from my state, and it can really be a barrier for somebody to travel and hunt. But with us, you're talking with a local that knows that. They've been taking friends with them for years probably, so they know the system for non-residents and people from out of state. So through that, they can advise you on what you need to do. And with the comment about being several years to draw a tag for a specific unit, what we've seen is basically just a guarantee like, hey, once you draw that tag, then that's the year we'll swap. So go ahead and line that up ahead of time, and they'll tell you, here's the unit you need to be applying for. And once you draw, then we'll make that exchange. Or if you feel real comfortable with the person, and we're working on some other, like an accountability deposit to help with this. But you could swap. Maybe you host them this year, and then you've kind of banked that trip for when you do draw in the future to go ahead and secure it. And at the end of the day, what we find is, thankfully we haven't had any experiences yet where somebody didn't, hold up their end of the deal. That's probably inevitable. We will have some of those experiences eventually. But the good thing about our community is, one, that there is a little bit of a barrier to entry with a membership fee. Two, you've got the credibility checks on the platform. And three, really just our kind of that outdoorsman persona is somebody that really believes in the doing to others kind of mindset. So you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and we really want to help each other and take care of each other. So it works really well with our model.
That's cool. No, that makes a lot of sense. What are some of the, I guess, what's one of the more extreme trades you've seen? And then, what's some of the more common ones you notice regularly, just to give people some perspective on this?
Yeah, I think this past year we had some pictures sent in from a successful swap in Hawaii for axis deer. I believe they swapped a bow hunt in Iowa, maybe. There's a deer hunt somewhere, but yeah, deer hunt for axis deer in Hawaii, and like that was a really cool trip. The family could go to the beach while somebody goes on an axis hunt. But we've seen a lot of turkey hunts. It kind of originated from me being a turkey hunter, chasing the Grand Slam. To a lot of our guys are doing that same thing. They're leveraging their properties to check off different states and go after once they finish the Grand Slam, go after the Super Slam and get the lower 49 states. So, a lot of turkey for turkey. We've seen some vacation homes like lake houses for, say, a family reunion, swapped for offshore fishing. Let's see, we had some people recently lined up an alligator hunt for a big whitetail hunt, Florida and Illinois, I believe. So it's really just all across the board. Most of our trips are in the hunting and fishing space. We've got a good bit of vacation trips, and then we're kind of starting to grow our adventure and sports categories, which, as you guys mentioned, the sports ticket still is kind of in limbo right now with all of this going on.
Yeah,
Right.
no doubt. Well, the adventure category seems like one that when I was younger, I was pretty much all about that lifestyle, and with two little ones, that's changed quite a bit. But, hunting is one where I think it'd be interesting if you think about something you want to try. That might be a really cool way to dip your toe into something and just get a sense for what it's like and just trade. I think that is a super logical approach. It sounds fun too, really.
Absolutely.
And then you probably get to learn about these people, meet them. Is it a total even keeled exchange where you're literally in two different places at opposite times? Or is there any crossing of paths there that exist outside of the platform?
So all of our exchanges typically are they're direct swaps, but at different dates. So with most of the hunting and fishing, you're always going to have a host. Not very, very rarely is somebody just going to say, "Here's my property, go hunting." But that does happen. But for the most part, you're going to be hosting them, or at least kind of helping them, show them the property lines, and then showing them what they can and can't do and stuff like that, and then they'll do the same for you. But yeah, so very rarely would it be an indirect us going at the same time. But that could happen in the vacation category with vacation homes, just not so much. Yeah.
The monetary thing that you were talking about before, at least the value side, I find to be pretty cool, just because, there's some people that have more money than I'll ever see in my life, and that's the thing they care about the least, and someone that has the least amount of money, they tend to care about it the most. So of course the perception on the lower side of the scale is, oh my God, this doesn't equate, this isn't enough. But the people that have all that money, they don't give a shit. They really do want to just try something. And if they like to, some of them like to really give back and help as much as they can. And I think that equation that you mentioned makes sense for that reason in my mind.
Absolutely. And that's something, just a quick story on that. I know we connected a guy in Louisiana this year that that he, had an awesome farm. I think deer, duck, hog, had a vacation place in maybe Grand Isle with really good fishing. Really had all these offerings, and then also just sold his company. So made millions of dollars by selling a very successful company. And his words to me was, I'm not interested. The price is nothing. I'm not interested in value. He said, I just want to meet somebody else I just want to build some relationships with people that love it as much as I do, and be able to share what I have and to take on some new experiences in different states.
That's good.
So that's a big piece of it.
Yeah, that's cool. One of the listeners, Levi, actually from Pulling Feathers, just said it's hard to put money, dollar amount on a great experience and newfound friendship, which is super true.
100%.
What's the quote? There's a quote from Avengers that out of the entire Avengers movie and series and all of that stuff, the Endgame, there was a quote from Iron Man's dad where he said, what was it? No amount of money ever bought a single second of time. That's a pretty cool quote when you're considering that you're in the experience business, right? Yeah. It's not about money. It's about the experience.
That's something that we push very heavily. We agree with that 100%. And that's why we intentionally don't put values of trips. There's not a price tag on the trip or anything, because if our motto is, if it's worth it to you, if somebody reaches out to swap, if it's worth it to you, make the exchange. Don't worry about, well, you got to pay me an extra $200 because mine's worth it. That's not going to work out. That's going to lead to somebody worried about the value versus the experience. And so we don't want to encourage any of that.
Sure. So how are you, the amount of testimonies and I'm a marketer by trade. So my mind's going, you got to have stories coming out of you know what. How are you promoting this? What does that look like? Because here you are now on the podcast. I guess that's one way, but our reach is, who knows? A couple of people might hear it, right? But, how are you getting louder to create and raise awareness around this? It sounds like you have some things you're working on with some partners, like HHA you had mentioned, wearing their super cool hat that they just got us, which is neat. But, what are some other ways you're pumping that stuff out? I think there's got to be a ton of stories you could gather from that.
Yeah, so we've kind of got we've hit it from every different angle. From social media, we try to post a trip a day on there, and try to keep up with the trips we're adding. That's done real well for us. We do a little bit of advertising. We're starting to get a little bit more heavy into that with just paid search and ads. But we did a bunch, 3 different trade shows this past year. Signed up for 3 more this year, but that one of those has already been canceled with the virus. So that's kind of looking like that's not going to be as promising. As you mentioned, podcasts, we'd like to kind of get the word out through podcasts. We feel like we can really tell our story and be able to just let you know we built this for us, and it's not somebody in India that's just trying to take your credit card or something. It's
right.
It's for the people that want to use it and enjoy it. So that the podcasts work really well for us. We're just getting the word out there, and then one of our big strategies, we haven't released much on this yet. We will in the upcoming months. Is we do have a whole corporate program where we work to kind of work as a benefit for employees. Still kind of keeping that under wraps a little bit, and then we have a charity side to our business where we're about to launch a platform there that we can add a lot of value to the conservation groups, and so just some things in the works there where we can partner with these different NGOs and large corporations to help us get the word out, and trying to get creative with how we can add value to everybody involved.
That's cool. How big is your team?
We've got really 5 core guys, 1 girl. So we've got Rayleigh that runs our social media. John is one of our main guys on the support and sales side. Mark is handling our tech lead position. And then we've got 2 interns that just help with kind of day-to-day outreach. And then we've got a few other guys. We outsource a lot of our work to just different people that we work with in our accelerator and just through different relationships in the industry.
That's cool. What accelerator program did you go through down in Alabama? This is the A. South.
Yeah, we went through the University of Alabama's just Edge Accelerator is what they called it. They started it, I guess the first year we started our business. I mentioned earlier some of the competitions we won. We won a few of their competitions, and then that got us accepted into their accelerator program, and again came with funding, and we're still based in their kind of incubator office space. We've got free rent here for our team, and just state-of-the-art facility, and a lot of resources at our disposal between the university, the city, and then just kind of their investor network through the overall GAN accelerator network.
Sounds like they have a good ecosystem down there for that. That's pretty cool. It's a huge, incredible resource to have that.
Absolutely, it's been a blessing for sure.
And so, it sounds like you're taking advantage of. Not advantage isn't the right word, but you're definitely leveraging the platform for yourself too, right? As you're treating yourself as a customer in some cases. You mentioned you had access some public land, and that went well for you.
Yeah, so I swap often. I usually do probably about 2 or 3 swaps a year. Very early on, I guess I did more hosting and just hadn't had time to take the trips myself. So some of those I've been able to take recently, but time is the biggest factor there. We do a lot of traveling, and this is just a great way to do it. And after I was able to finish my Grand Slam, which kind of mentioned earlier in the story about being my number one thing on the bucket list, that was cool to finish that through this platform and kind of made it a full circle. Now my next goal is the Super Slam and checking off the state. So this year we were able to check off Tennessee and Missouri, and hopefully we can check off some more next season.
That's cool. Greg, I think that's like something you wish you could do.
Yeah, turkey hunting, or I'd actually like to go kill a whitetail in every state. I think that was kind of something I thought about doing some years ago, but don't know if that's really in the cards as of late. So, but yeah, it'd be cool to be able to go, say I hunted or I fished or something in every state. I mean, just about every state I go to, I do buy a fishing license, and I go, Florida, Montana, South Dakota, Wyoming. I've been there and fished, so it was kind of cool.
Last time I traveled,
that's really neat. Yeah, start collecting those licenses and put them in a scrapbook or something.
That's smart. I fished Florida when I was at Disney World. We fished their ponds.
Florida's a great state to fish,
but
man.
It was cheating. It was cheating.
It might be, but
there were so many huge bass.
That is a mecca for fishing. I mean, you can go freshwater, you can go in between, you can go out deep in the ocean. There's so many different things you can catch in Florida.
Our buddies over at Outdoor Drive caught a shark.
Yeah, they were
the other day.
They were in the Atlantic.
I don't even know what that thing was. It's called a thresher.
Thresher shark.
I don't know what that is. It looked cool. Huge fin.
Yep.
Tail fin or whatever. We should get you in touch with those guys. I bet you they'd have a ton of trips that they could trade. Those guys are nuts. In a good way.
Trev does some pretty serious waterfowling out on the ocean too. So if you got guys looking to shoot their first eider,
Outdoor Drive podcast guys, yeah.
Yep, go check them guys out.
They're a little bit more well-rounded than we are. We're pretty focused on like whitetail and stuff, and take an interest in business, so we love talking about this stuff too. But those guys cover all sorts of stuff, man. They're all over, but they're out on the East Coast, ish.
Yep, Connecticut.
Yeah. Those will be some great guys. Like I said, I think most of our swaps, majority of them, we had to pick one state, would be between Alabama and Florida. A lot of opportunity in Florida with hunting and fishing, and especially like the Osceola turkey hunting being the only place you can get it. We've got a lot of those trips on there, and all of those guys get blown up every spring for people wanting to trade with them.
That's
so
pretty cool.
I'm sure they do.
So if you guys,
John Mulligan, Johnny Utah with Johnny Utah Creative and Bourbon Barrel Calls, and what he's got too much going on for me to name, but he talked to us about his Grand Slam that he was going to do, and he did it. He used our audio for the video he was in, which is kind of cool. I think it's on like Carbon TV or something. That's good stuff, man. It's quite the accomplishment. Like it's your baby, right? You've invested your time, money, sweat, and life into this entity, and it's, clearly there's adoption, and it's working and people are using it, and you have good plans for the short term and the long term, it sounds like we'd be happy to help in any way that we can, sort of, pumping the message out there. It's pretty cool. How do people find it? Just so I don't want to lose anybody at the end or anything like that. Just make sure we get the plug in there too. We'll get it again at the end, but where should people go?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Appreciate the compliment there. We've definitely we've had a lot of wins and success so far, but we're far from where we want to be, and got some big goals for what all we can offer, and how all we can add value to this industry. But the website is Trips4Trade.com. That's the number 4, and from there you can go on our trips tab and look at all our trips and use the filters and kind of see stuff that interests you. If you know it's something you want to join, then you can just click sign up. Our annual membership is typically $125 for the year. With that, you can go on as many swaps as you want. There's no transaction fees. And as mentioned earlier, that's really kind of a credibility barrier right there. We want people on here that are serious about trading and can be trusted, and that kind of helps tailor towards that. But for this audience, we create a little promo code for 20% off, and that code is just W2H20. So you can use that there, save 20%, and once you create a listing, we look forward to connecting you with any trips that are left on your bucket list.
That's pretty cool, man.
That's awesome.
Let's switch gears, and obviously we plant the seed every episode for every guest. It's like my favorite thing. It really is.
Everybody likes a story.
That's it. That's what I think. I think it's the quintessence of hunting. It's the memories that are made, and obviously you've created a platform that literally is manufacturing memories. So I'd love to hear your most memorable hunt, man.
That's a tough one.
It always is.
Fortunate enough to have a lot of really good hunts. I think all of my Grand Slam hunts through Trips4Trade, especially the ones with my dad, were just super memorable and impactful for me. But I would have to say this past turkey season, opening day might take the cake. So I'll walk you guys through that. We also have a brand called Grand Slam Outdoors, and we host a turkey invitational in the spring where basically locals can compete in this contest. It's a 2-man team. You can kill 2 birds, and the winner wins a bunch of prizes from our partners and cash as well. So just a fun way to kind of bring in turkey season and kind of just hang out with all your hunting buddies and add a little challenge to the turkey hunt too. So for that hunt, I always hunt with my dad in our tournament, and we started the morning off. We had a good friend, Hunter Phelps. He does some content creation for us, and he was there filming the hunt. And we started back on our family farm right there behind our house, and had a bird gobbling in the distance. And we took off, and we just couldn't get him to commit to us. I mean, it was actually 2 birds. They were hammering everything we'd throw at them, and we just couldn't get them to break away from the hens and come out of this bottom. And we were worried that if we cut any distance on them, we would bump them. But finally, after just kind of talking to my dad, he was like, "Why don't you and Hunter just take off? Y'all slip down there and see if y'all can cut some distance." Because we've been on these birds for about 2.5 hours or so, and I was like, "All right, we're gonna try it." He said, "I'll just hang back up here because 3 people's a lot to try to make that kind of move." And so we slipped down in the bottom, and we're right around the bend from them, probably 60, 70 yards from these 2 birds. Their dad's still calling back up on the hill, and they're hammering every time he calls, and we're cutting distance every time they gobble. And finally we get pretty close. Next thing we Hunter and I hear a gunshot in the distance, and it scared both of us a little bit. Made sure it wasn't my gun that went off, and then finally we look at each other and realize it was Dad that had shot, and checked my phone real quick, and he sends me a picture. In the meantime, he's caught up another bird from the distance, and it's the biggest bird he's ever killed in his life. It's just a stud turkey, and so Hunter and I are over there trying not to yell and high five because we still got birds that gobble to the gunshot right here inside 75 yards. And anyways, long story short, we couldn't close the deal on those 2 birds, unfortunately. But we were so excited we had to get back to go check out the bird that Dad had shot, and went back and it was by far his biggest bird. It had 1 9/16 spurs and I think like 11.5-inch beard, just a giant just turkey for Alabama and really for anywhere. And so he was pumped, and kind of bring the story full circle. My grandfather took him on his first turkey hunt as well, and that was the spot where he took him, and that was the spot where he killed his first bird, like within 30 to 50 yards of where he killed that one, and just kind of brings it full circle with the memories that we have with my grandfather, and then to top it off, when we entered in the competition that day, I think there was about 35 or 40 birds brought in to be scored, and Dad ended up winning the biggest bird with his, and so all that was kind of something that was super important to me. My dad he'd put up his gun until last year, and only taken me for like 10 years, and never, it was just super selfless. Always took me, my sister, and friends, and he'd scout for us, and then guide for us and call for us. Well, the last 2 years I've been calling for him a little bit, and he's brought the gun back out, and it was neat to kind of see him and that success, and be able to bring in a legendary bird like that.
That's a great story. I know what it's like when you get so excited when someone else gets something and you're like, oh, we got to go check it out. You just got to be there with them in that moment and forgo your own hunt because it's just that exciting. That's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. We were like, patience might kill the two birds that Hunter and I were on, but it's like, we just got to go see this bird. We got to go celebrate with Dad. And that was, that made the season right there, just how happy he was, and the story that came along with that.
That's super cool. That's great. It's one thing that I still haven't done yet is turkey hunt. I think that's going to change officially this next season.
This spring. You're going to apply with me here soon.
What's funny though, Greg, is I have bought turkey tags for
That's
when I was whitetail gun hunting.
But that's during the fall.
Yeah, sure, but I've tried to at least
that was not trying.
Put a bird in my crosshairs because almost every time I've whitetail hunted, I've seen turkey. And legitimately the first time I buy tags, thinking, okay, well, whatever, maybe I'll probably see them again. Nothing. Classic turkey move. My buddy calls them thunder chickens.
Thunder chickens.
But actually he calls them
gross.
Well, Greg Byers, who calls them jungle monsters because he did not know. I have a buddy that doesn't hunt ever. He's like a city boy, which is fine. He's okay with that. And he comes hunting just to hang out with the fellas for gun deer season here in Wisconsin. Super traditional, whatever. We put him in like a spot. We tell him where to go, and it's 0 dark 100 in the morning, and he's walking out there, and some turkeys were coming out of roost, but he didn't know what that was. He'd never really been in the woods. It scared the living daylights out of him, so he's like, freaking jungle monsters are coming out of the trees. That was pretty funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got to try it in the spring. It's a different
totally
different
game.
animal, but you're going to be addicted, and you're going to spend a lot more money, and you're going to want to travel more, and so you got to be ready for all of that. But aside from that, you need to try it.
Yeah. It's just a matter. It's been a matter of time. I've hit my time. We're good to go. I know I got this guide here, Teddy Bear Greg. That'll help me out.
Guide. That's funny.
You're my spirit guide.
Sure. I'm gonna put you in a pair of tennis shoes like I killed my turkey this spring.
If that's what gets the job done.
Tennis shoes in the rain, and you're gonna forget your rain jacket.
I'll probably wear my Crocs. I don't wear tennis shoes. Yeah, I got Crocs on like 24/7. That are my gum leaves, which are like as comfortable as Crocs, if I'm being honest.
Shameless plug.
It's authentic.
You might have to. You guys just have to come down to Alabama, and we'll be able to put you on a turkey, and you can say it'll be your new most memorable hunt, maybe.
That'd be cool. And maybe we have you up here to do a Lake Michigan salmon fishing or something.
There you go. See, there's a trip for trade right there, Greg. You could bring someone salmon fishing. I went out with you, and we left my house at like 1:30 in the morning or 2 or something. Mm-hmm. We were on the lake by Lake Michigan by like 4 o'clock. The first fish was in the boat at 4:30 a.m. before the sun even came up, really. I think you just reshared that post. It was a big fish.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even the biggest one of the day.
Awesome.
No, it wasn't the biggest one of the day, but it was fun. You got to make a memory and see the city skyline early in the morning while reeling in a king. So that was pretty sweet.
Yeah. It's a lot of work reeling those big fish in. Freaking hand hurts after a while. Actually, I just went out again like a a weekend or two ago for Father's Day. My father-in-law and I was reeling in one of these fish, and I actually got a blister on my thumb from reeling so much.
We got to toughen you up.
It was huge. I was like, "What is this?" It was like this big bubble, You
You don't do enough yard work or something.
I guess
maybe,
not.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't know.
Those little Sally hands of yours.
Hey, that's great problem to have. At least you reeled one in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Slade. First of all, I love the name. You're the only Slade that I know, and I think it's probably one of the coolest names I've ever heard. If I gotta say so. We appreciate you being on the show. I don't know if you've heard that before.
He's got stars in his eyes when he says your name. That's kind of creepy.
Hey, it was something my mom actually made up when they were trying to come up with something a little different. So it's been pretty neat. But I appreciate that. I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, it worked. How about that? That's good. Better than like Eric. It's pretty boring.
Slade, where can we find you?
Yeah, so real involved on Instagram. I've got accounts on, I guess, all social media, just at Slade Johnston. Got Go Wild, You Do, and then all your traditional ones. And then as far as Trips4Trade, we have accounts everywhere as well. It's just at Trips4Trade, and give us a follow. We try to post trips about daily of different ones we had and what they're looking for, and so give us a follow and check us out there. And then, like I said, go to Trips4Trade.com, and we'll hopefully get you on your next bucket list trip.
That's awesome. You guys made the jump to TikTok yet before it gets banned?
We have. We've actually got a kind of a growing TikTok account, but or personally, I guess I do, but trying to figure it out with the Trips4Trade page.
Yeah. It's a weird one, but there's something there.
It is. They get a lot of views. But you're right. It's just kind of interesting where it's headed. I don't think anybody really knows where it's headed, but it can't hurt to be putting content out there.
Another tentacle out there for you. Well, thanks again for your time. You're obviously a busy person running a company and a team and growing what you got going on. So we appreciate you being on our show in the Okayest Hunter studio. And we'll end the live feed and we'll get this thing produced tonight. So we'll hang out with you for a minute to debrief, but thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. I've enjoyed it.